Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Exeter Planning Board of Thursday, October 12th, 2023 at 7 p.m. in the Nowak Room. To order. To start off with, to introduce the board, I'm Langdon Plummer, Chair, and I'm going to yield to my right,
Jen Martell.
regular member, and
Ladies first.
Oh, Nancy Belanger, Select Board Representative.
John Gruder.
and we have a quorum, 4 people of 7-person board, so there's no need to hold things up. First order of business are the minutes of September 28th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from September 28th, 2023.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, then voice vote will be adequate. Those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstentions, the ayes have it. I'm going to shift the agenda around a little bit.
Good job, Dan.
Take the quicker case first. And so, Dave, I would ask you, this case is the application of Michael Lambert for minor subdivision of the existing 3.8 plus minus article 8-acre parcel located at 158 Epping Road into 2 lots. Subject parcel is located in C3 Epping Road Highway Commercial Zoning District. Tax map parcel 47-1-2. Planning Board case number 23-17. And I'd ask Dave if the case is ready to be heard.
It is complete for review purposes, in my opinion, yes.
Thank you. Need a motion to hear the case, please?
So moved.
There's Pete.
Second, moved and seconded.
I'll second.
Those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, the ayes have it. Pete, Cameron is just coming in, we'll wait for you
What's
to...
going on in town?
We have a political candidate at
Terrible
the
time
town
finding a
hall.
place to park.
Really? Well, I told you to start early.
He was probably go over there getting her autograph.
Pete Cameron is the clerk of the, not the works, but the board.
Almost went home.
So Pete, we'll just rearrange the agenda. We're going to hear Mr. Lambert's case first. And we just opened the case. And I'd asked to turn the table or the floor to Mr. Sharples to begin things for us, please.
Thank you. As you stated, the applicant seeks a minor subdivision of an existing 3.8 acre, 165,000 square foot lot on Continental Drive. The proposal is to subdivide the lot to create a new, just under 2 acre lot with frontage on Continental Drive. The remaining 1 acre parcel is developed and is the site of the recently constructed Noria motor fuel outlet that the board approved. It's just basically taking 165,000 square foot lot, cutting it into 2, roughly about the same size, 80,000 square foot lots. And the frontage of the back lot will now be on Continental, meets the minimum frontage requirements, meets all the minimum density and dimensional requirements for subdivision. There are no waivers being requested. There was no technical review committee, however, it was reviewed by our code enforcement officer for zoning compliance. And, there's a small wetland in the bottom left, but any future development of this parcel would, trigger site plan approval, so it would come before you at that time. Pretty straightforward, minor subdivision. And I do have, if the board, gets to that point, I have the 2 standard conditions of approval for minor subdivisions. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike, the floor is yours. You and your engineer.
Don't have much to say. I feel like it's pretty straightforward. Just looking for your blessing to move forward. Happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions, anybody have? Is the purpose of doing this to separate the gas station operation from the remainder part of the property?
That's correct.
Okay. That's logical.
I'm just a little confused. And I was here, we did the gas station, but, so this was always just one lot?
It was.
There was one.
And
Is.
And you're the owner
That's correct,
at the gas station as well?
of the lot.
Of the lot, okay, all right. So you've leased that half of the lot?
That's correct.
Now, okay. All right, that's all, just confused.
Jen?
I'm good.
Pete?
Seems straightforward to me.
Fine.
Well, I may open the floor to the public. You don't have to do that, so if there's anybody in the room this evening would like to speak to this case one way or the other, I'd ask you to step to the microphone and introduce yourself so that the audience at home can hear you and throw popcorn at you. If you'd like to speak, please step up at this time. Seeing none, then I close the public session and bring it back to the board. Any other questions, or? I'm ready.
Same comment as before.
Okay.
I think you're on, Mr. Stropper.
Well, do you have some conditions for approval?
I do, Mr. Chairman. It's the standard two conditions we recommend on all minor subdivisions. And number one, a DWG file of the plan shall be provided to the town planner showing all property lines and monumentation prior to signing the final plans. This plan must be an NAD 1983 state plan, New Hampshire FIPS 2800 feet coordinates. And two, all monumentation shall be set in accordance with section 9.25 of the site plan review and subdivision regulations prior to signing the final plan.
All right. I'm ready for a motion, please.
I move that the request of Michael Lampert, Planning Board Case Number 23-17 for minor subdivision, be approved with the conditions as stated by our town planner, Dave Sharpless.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? This will be a hand vote, so your right hand, please raise your right hand to approve this motion. Okay. Opposed? Abstentions? All set.
Thank you. We hope we don't.
Entirely welcome.
Send you a letter and then just get.
So our next,
GPI, send me the DWG.
Item on the agenda is the applications of TF Moore Inc. on behalf of C3I, for the site plan review and wetland and shoreline condition use permits for the proposed construction of two-story additions on the east and west end of the existing building, along with additional parking and associated site improvements. Subject property is located 8 Commerce Way in the I Industrial zoning district, tax map parcel number 48-3, planning board case number 23-13. And I'd ask Dave if this case is ready to be heard.
It is complete for review purposes, in my opinion.
Could I have a motion, please?
You may. I so move.
Second?
Moving and seconded, thank you. Voice vote, those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, the ayes have it. Dave, would you like to start us off, please?
Sure. As you stated, the applicant is seeking site plan approval, conditional use permit and a shoreline permit for a proposed expansion of the C3I building at 8 Commerce Way. The applicant is proposing to construct two-story additions, one on each end of the building, along with additional parking and associated site improvements. The applicant has submitted, the applications for site plan review, wetland and shoreline, all dated August 11th, which are enclosed in your packet. The applicant then appeared before the Conservation Commission to present their wetland and shoreline conditional use permit applications, and the commission, in accordance with the memorandum that's also in your packet from August, dated August 27th, the commission had no objection to either the shoreline permit or the wetland conditional use permit and suggested no conditions of approval. Technical Review Committee meeting was held on September 14th. A few TRC comments were provided and so noted by the applicant at that meeting. No TRC comment letter was provided. There was just a couple of minor things. And a copy of the UEI comment letter dated September 14th, 2023 was enclosed in your packets. The applicant subsequently submitted revised plans and supporting documents dated October 4th, addressing both the TRC and UEI comments. We have reviewed those internally, and they have addressed our comments. The applicant was initially requesting 2 waivers from the board site plan and subdivision regulations from the requirements to provide EV charging station and granite curbing for traffic control and planting islands. Subsequently, the applicant has agreed to forego those waivers and has submitted a revised waiver request letter that looks at the landscape islands. They can explain that because every 15 spaces you need to have a barrier in there, proposing that one that they have there now to be eliminated. And then they are asking for the temporary waiver. I believe for a year you can grant this for the use of fertilizer in the Shoreline Protection District to establish any grass or vegetation that they plant. And you may remember this was, approved by the board several years ago as a manufacturing facility, but you also approved an addition. But it was only on one side of the building. So they determined that they needed a little more space. They couldn't go more on the side of the building that they originally proposed, so they added some more on the opposite side. So it's a little bit more larger expansion than they originally contemplated that was approved by the planning board, hence their need to return to you tonight to seek site plan approval.
Thank you. Floor is yours, sir.
Hello, my name is Jack McTighe. I work for TF Moran. I'm the site engineer. With me is Joe Ritchie, who's Ritchie Construction, involved in the construction of the additions, and Robert Voidemore, which is a architect with Winter and Holben. And Charles Wagner couldn't make it tonight because he had COVID, and he didn't want to infect everyone. He's feeling better, but still in the contagious stage, I guess you'd say. I believe Dave pretty much went over what we're proposing. Just to make it a little easier, is that these two darker are the two additions that he's talking about. The light gray is existing pavement. There was a loading zone here, they're pushing the loading zone back over here, and that's why, they're cutting the pavement here in order to redo it, but really this much is already paved prior. And then they're putting some additional parking through here. There were 2 EMPs here, they've been pushed out. One was a gravel wetland, and now they're 2 bioretention areas as opposed to. Are there any questions?
Can you explain how the pushed out loading zone works from a truck turning point of view?
Oh, this little.
Yeah.
They pull in here, then the truck will back up. Oh, actually, the truck probably pulls in here first, backs up to here. This is actually, the loading dock used to be high. This is going to be a level loading dock at this point. But, the trucks pull up here, they back straight back, and then when they leave, they come back out through here.
So they're not going to back up to the building. They're just kind of backing in and then unloading, and somehow, is there like a ramp or something?
This is actually this little gray area. It's hard to see on there, but that's where they're actually doing the unloading, is right in the gray area.
And then what's the material of the little turnaround?
Gravel.
Yeah. Okay.
I will need a ALT permit because before we didn't need an ALT, but we were right on the limit. Now we went over it, and if you go over the limit of 100,000 square feet within a 10-year period, no matter, we were like 6 years, but if you do it within a 10-year period, you have to go back to ALT as it's a brand new project. So this will be going to all be reviewed by ALT before we can build it.
Mm-hmm. So the increased parking is because more employees will be there?
This section here is going to be offices. Actually, the factory section over here doesn't include any increases, and this is the part they'll build immediately. This is more offices that they'll be building here, and the more offices mean more people, so we need
Okay.
additional parking for additional people that will be working there.
So the little shed that's there is gonna be moved, and
Say that again?
I say the shed that stands there now will be removed
Yeah.
and leveled off, of course, yeah.
I do have the elevation. That just gives you an idea of what the additions look like. That's like the loading, that's that, near the loading area, and this is that office area.
Oh, I see, okay.
And this is the existing building right in the middle.
So as you come in the driveway today, that's kind of what you see?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you come in the driveway today, you see this.
Right, yep. Questions?
Are any of the conditions that we approved last time applicable now? That we would-
Well, I have suggested conditions of approval, and they're all the same. If that's what you're asking.
Well, I'm asking if we approved them once, there's no reason to change our mind.
I'm not sure exactly what.
I said, if we approve these once already, is there any reason we shouldn't approve them again?
That's up to you.
That's up to me.
That's up to the board, but if you're asking me my opinion, I don't see any. I mean, it's an industrial site. It was created for this use. They anticipated an expansion, but then their needs are beyond the expansion that they originally got approved by the board, and they need more space. But I think this will do it. I don't think there's any.
Any more places to go?
There's no more places to go.
Right. All right.
Did I understand there was a traffic study here, or did I dream that?
It's a traffic memo.
Traffic memo, which I could not find in my packet.
You didn't?
No, I didn't. I probably attached to something else.
Yeah.
Should have been almost the last thing in the.
Oh, well, okay.
It is the last thing, yeah.
We didn't even ask for that, though, did we?
What?
TRC didn't even ask for traffic.
No.
No,
Yeah,
No.
it's
just
provided.
provided it.
But they were providing it.
Yeah.
Trip generation, yes. Very last in the packet.
I must have missed it.
They concluded, based on the foregoing, we anticipate the impacts associated with traffic from this project to be minimal. Traffic from this development will add about 6 to 7 trips during the AM and peak M hours, or about 1 new trip every 10 to 12 minutes. In summary, we find that the traffic associated with the proposal can be safely accommodated on the adjacent roadway network without need for improvements. I mean, on something this small with that small of an addition, I mean, we're already, Epping Road, there's no issue on Commerce Way or Industrial Drive. I mean, Epping Road has its issues and taking a left and so forth, but we're dealing with that on a townwide basis, not on a site, site by site.
And it makes no difference whether the increase here is in trucks or regular passenger vehicles?
Going to be passenger vehicles more than trucks.
Okay.
There might be a slight increase in trucks because of. more
Increased
trucks.
volume, yeah.
Right.
But the majority of the increase in traffic is cars.
Again, all those roadways, Industrial Drive, Commerce Way,
Yeah, I mean, it's-
were built to industrial standards with the thickness of the gravel and so forth to handle truck traffic. That's what's anticipated in that area. And we're looking at Epping Road, we did the Epping Road corridor study to make improvements based on the development that we anticipate in and around that corridor.
Yeah,
That's why, I just missed it, so.
that's fine, that's good.
Did you find it?
I'm not going to have to take any more time.
Okay.
I'm assured it's there. I'll take a
It's
look.
in there.
Yep.
All right.
There, yep.
That's fine. Oh, thank you, sir.
Anything else? You were saying, I'm going to talk about stormwater control, but
It was attached.
the lighter green has been relocated or enlarged?
They used to be right where that parking was and where that building is, so they got pushed out a little bit in order to make way for that.
So you're using the same engineering, I'll say, but you're just moving the,
Well, they have to be a little bigger to hold
yes.
the additional.
You got more roof, yep.
We had a gravel wetland here, but we were using the bioretention with a internal storage reservoir, which is actually as good as a gravel wetland in removing nitrogen. It has a layer underneath it that take out the nitrogen.
Yeah, I found it was attached.
Okay.
Any particular landscaping you're gonna do as a part of this project?
Minimal landscaping. We do have a landscape plan on C9, which is this.
I know I saw one somewhere here.
You know, mostly a couple trees and there'll be landscaping inside the pond and stuff, but mostly that's just grass.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like 3 maple trees and 3 apple trees.
Yeah.
The apple trees seem like an interesting choice. Do you know what the,
The apple trees are a favorite of Charlie Wagner, with C3 eyes.
Yeah, we had that conversation originally at first, where he planted them along the driveway going down.
Yeah. It's a family connection.
yeah,
Oh, that's all right. The deer will like that.
Yeah, otherwise, again, this seemed relatively straightforward.
Yeah. Well, let me open this to the public, make sure I cover that bridge, or cross that bridge. So if anybody's in the audience this evening would like to speak to this plan, either in favor of or just give their opinions, we'd be pleased to hear those. If so, please step to the microphone and state your name so we know who's speaking. So if anybody would like to speak, please step up at this time. If not, then I'll close the public session and bring it back to the board.
You missed the training last night.
Any questions that we have, or we've got to deal with a couple waivers here.
You want me to describe the need for the waivers?
So, yes, let's go down through the criteria, please.
If you have more than 15 spaces, you have to have a traffic island. We have 16 across here, so we're just a little bit over. We're on such a tight lot, in order to even create a green space here, we're gonna have to take a green space somewhere else in order to fit the parking in. So we just asked for, a waiver. We think it's reasonable, 15 to 16 spots, that it's not necessary, and it would just
Okay?
eat up green space in other places.
No particular hardship on anybody? I don't think. Do we need to go down all of the criteria with that, Dave?
I mean, that's up to you. I mean, that's generally your practice.
I think it's pretty straightforward. It's a logical reason.
That-
me,
That's
I don't know
fine, just
how
as
the board
long,
feels about it.
just as long as you're familiar with the criteria for the waivers in 13.7, you feel like the argument meets it, then, or doesn't, you can, go from there.
Any thoughts? Boy, this is an active board tonight. Hello, is everyone awake?
Yeah, we're all here.
It's straightforward.
Okay, okay.
I can make up some
We
questions.
can make it,
All right,
we
then I
can
would-
make it difficult if you want.
Then I'd ask for motion then on this particular one.
actually, I do have one more comment before
Okay.
I make a motion, just to spice things up. No, so I'm just looking at, and it just took me a little bit to digest, the tree removal plan and then the proposed grading plan, and it looks like there's a removal of 5 20-inch oak trees on the north part of the site, or I'm sorry, on the east part of the
One
site.
of them we could actually avoid removing, and then we're gonna work on avoid that one, because it's right on the edge of the grading.
That's what-
And then because it was,
On the edge.
impacted.
That's what I was gonna ask, because they all look like they're sort of on the edge of the grading, and I was like, if there's any chance to not remove them, I would say.
That one I definitely feel we can avoid
Okay,
removing.
that'd be great.
Good.
Yeah, because they'll take some, I mean, depending on their condition, like,
Yeah, we'll give them a chance.
they'll take a little bit of abuse, like, you don't have to just go out there and cut it down preemptively necessarily.
It would be filling, so it's not like we're
Yeah,
exposing it, we just avoid filling around the base of it, and that's what these are filtered, is when they fill around
Yeah.
the base of it.
yeah, there's this one oak tree in my neighborhood that they literally filled 360 all around it, so the tree itself is like in a foot lower hole, and every winter that hole fills up with water and it freezes, and that oak tree is like, it's been like in that condition for like
But
almost 20
It
years.
would kill it, so. that-
Yeah, but it's, I mean, it's fine. So, yeah, go figure.
Some of the other ones, most of the other ones are in like the actual DMPs and things.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, yeah, I get that. That was all,
Okay.
thank you.
So I'm looking for a motion on the landscape island waiver request. Please.
Well, I'll take it.
Okay, Pete, thank you.
After review, excuse me, I seem to have the same problem you do, Len.
Okay,
After reviewing the criteria for granting waivers, I move that the request of TF Moran, Inc. for C3C1 or I, Planning Board Case 23-13 for a waiver from Section 9.7.5.5 of the Site Plan Review and Subdivision Regulations regarding landscape islands be provided in parking lots between every 10 to 15 spaces to avoid long rows of parked cars be approved.
Second?
moved and seconded. Any discussion? A hand vote, please, with your right hand. Those in favor, please raise your right hand. Those opposed, abstentions, that carries. Shoreline Protection District, use of the filter.
Fertilizer.
Fertilizer.
Fertilizer for 1 year.
Use of fertilizer for 1 year. This is not a waiver
Oh,
under 13.
use of fertilizer, excuse me,
This
yeah.
is not a waiver under 13.7. It's a waiver that's provided under our zoning ordinance for
Yeah, okay.
restoration or establishment of new landscaping.
Yes.
It said, may be waived by the board or the designee upon submission of written justification addressing the need and the specific locations within the property where the request applies. Waiver granted will provide for temporary allowance not to exceed 1 year. And they did provide in their October 4th letter the reason for the waiver in writing. And they're looking for, I assume they're looking for a year. They didn't specify, but I'm assuming they're looking for 1 year.
So they've met that requirement?
Well, they provided in writing, then it's up to you to determine.
Yeah, yeah.
The reason being that they said the fertilizer is being used to establish new growth. This aids in the stabilization and restricting sediment transportation and aligns with the Exeter zoning regulations.
All right, then. I'll make a motion if you
Sure.
like, yeah. After reviewing the criteria for granting waivers, I move the request of TF Moran, Inc. for C3I, is that what we decided? Yeah, Planning Board Case number 23-13 for a waiver from section Article 9.3.4.F.12 of the zoning ordinance regarding the use of fertilizer in the shoreline protecting district be approved. Can I add in for 1 year, David?
Yes.
Okay. for
When's that year
1
begin?
Well,
Today's date.
no, wouldn't it begin when they had the construction done and they planted things?
I thought it was when they planted it. It's for the 1 year to establish growth.
Oh,
Yeah, wouldn't that?
well, we usually counted it from here.
But wouldn't, I mean, then I'd say 2 years, only because.
No,
you just say 1 year
You can't give
from-
1 year, because like right now, it's new,
I'm
what is
saying, I'm
it? It's
just-
October, right? There's no need for, it. You're big, they only need a year, because you're gonna build it, right? And then plant it next year and fertilize it, if you're gonna,
That'd be adequate time for 1 year from now?
I mean, I guess we talked about that. It usually was, from the date of approval, we never had an issue with that. But if you wanna
just
say
thinking, 'cause
that, welcome to it. It's, 1 year from the date of planting, I don't know, whatever that is.
Yeah, I mean, When is this thing, when's it gonna start if we get approval?
Early 2024, probably at the beginning of January.
So it might be the fall before you're planting.
You guys understand?
So, I mean, I think to do it right, you need it from the, completion of construction.
Yeah, I mean, they should be fine to just fertilize, I mean, you just need to get it established. That's the purpose of the waiver, is just for established, not for ongoing growth.
All right,
But
then I will leave it alone and they can come back if they need more time.
Okay.
And I'll second.
Because I'm not all done.
Second.
Sorry, I raised that.
Thank you. Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, then we're going to hand vote by right hand, please. Those in favor, raise your right hand.
Aye.
Those opposed, right hand. Abstentions? The ayes have it. Okay. Now, planning board motions. Have you any other conditions, Dave?
I do.
To show us?
Just the same, conditions as the last time. The DWG file, the site plan shall be provided to the town planner showing all property lines and monumentation. 2, an electronic as-built to the entire property with details acceptable to town shall be provided prior to the issuance of a CO. The plan must be in DWG or DFX file format and in NAD 1983 state. Plan New Hampshire FIPS 2,800 feet coordinates. 3, a pre-construction meeting shall be arranged by the applicant as contractor with the town engineer prior to any site work commencing. Following must be submitted for review and approval prior to the pre-con meeting. The SWIP if applicable, and a project schedule and construction cost estimate. 4, all comments in the Underwood Engineer Inc. Review letter dated September 14, 2023 shall be addressed to the satisfaction of the town planner prior to signing the final plans. 5, all appropriate fees to be paid, including but not limited to sewer water connection fees, inspection fees prior to the issuance of building permit, that's if they're applicable. 6, all outdoor lighting, including security lights, shall be downlit and shielded so no direct light is visible from adjacent properties and/or roadways. 7, a stormwater inspection and maintenance log shall be submitted to the satisfaction of the town engineer and be completed and submitted to the town engineer annually on or before January 31st. This requirement shall be an ongoing condition of approval. 8, all landscaping shown on plans shall be maintained. Any dead or dying vegetation shall be replaced no later than the following growing season, as long as the site plan remains valid. This condition is not intended to circumvent the revocation procedures set forth in state statutes. 9, all applicable state permit approval numbers shall be noted on the final plans. 10, the limit of cut and disturbance shall be flagged in the field prior to any site work, and these flags shall be maintained until a certificate of occupancy is issued. And 11, which I added based on the conversation, a good faith effort shall be taken to avoid removal of the significant trees shown on the site plans.
Okay, I think those will probably apply to the site plan motion as I look this over.
Oh, is that what you're, oh, you
We
went
still have
after that?
conditional use permit.
Whoops.
Wetlands, conditional use permit.
Since you did that, we can do.
Just whoever makes that
We gotta
motion,
do that.
remember, it's in the record. He's already stated them.
Okay, sorry.
But that's
I
the
got
site
ahead of
plan
myself.
motion,
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
not the first 2.
correct.
No.
That's a lot for a conditional use permit. but
It's all right.
I don't have any.
In the record,
No
so when we get
conditions,
there.
no conditions for either
Okay.
conditional use permit do I have or were suggested by the Conservation Commission.
Okay, so are we ready for the conditional use permit wetland motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, John, thank you.
After review of the criteria for wetland conditional use permit, I move that the request of TF Moran Incorporated for C3I Planning Board case number 23-13 for a conditional use permit be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hand vote, please. Those in favor indicate by raising the right hand. Opposed? Right hand. Abstentions? Motion carries. Conditional use permit shoreland motion.
Again,
Okay, John, you're doing fine.
I can keep the job.
Glad you came today.
After reviewing the criteria for shoreline conditional use permit, I move that the request of TF Moran for C3I, Planning Board Case Number 23-13, for conditional use permit be approved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Those in favor, please, in favor, yeah. In favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. Site plan motion.
I'll take that one, how's that?
You do that.
I move at the request of TF Moran, Inc. for C3I, Planning Board Case Number 22-13 for site plan approval be approved with the conditions as stated by our town planner.
Second.
Moved and seconded. That includes the large bushes. Any discussion? Then we'll call for the vote. Hand vote, please. Those in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed? Abstentions? Unanimous? All set.
Thank you.
Let us know when the apple's ready. I'll come up and make a cider.
Thank you.
Did they film the meeting last night?
We did.
Okay, I can watch that.
Yes.
Not tied up.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening.
You too.
Okay, other business. Any master plan discussion? I guess not. Aaron's not here.
I'll chime in on that. I just want to thank the MPOC, the Master Plan Oversight Committee, for meeting several weeks in a row, because we were getting through, the Rockingham Planning Commission is finalizing the bike and pedestrian master plan, and they had a bunch of recommendations on what to do at various, locations across town, and, whether it be connections or crosswalks and so forth. So we had to review them all. There was probably 70, 80 of them. And we went through them one by one, and it took us a while, but they kept meeting week after week, and really appreciate it. So that's coming to a close here, and we should have some presentation to the full board once that's
Great.
Once that's ready to be
Thank you.
presented.
Gentlemen.
Well, and I think that whole process went extremely well. It was well presented by the, I can't even remember what his name is.
Scott Bogle.
Scott, yeah.
From the,
Scott, yeah, okay.
from the Rockingham.
Planning Commission?
And it was well done.
Okay.
And then also, one thing, one of the master plan items was to conduct a downtown parking traffic
Yeah.
analysis,
Like
which
tonight.
was voted in by the voters. We did hold our first, they collected some data. It was Stamp Tech, the consultant that we hired, Jason Schreiber, Evan Drew, Jessa Berna, the crew over there. They've been great, by the way. And they have some preliminary data that they presented on October 4th. Was it 4th? Yeah. It was the 4th,
Yeah.
last Wednesday.
Just
We had an open house from 12 to 2, and then 4 to 6:30. Then we had a presentation and a little Q&A. Dozens of people came throughout the day, and provided their input and comments and asked questions. They also had about a dozen downtown businesses. They had a focus group, which was kind of invite that they met in here and went over the data and the findings, and answered, any questions, and had a Q&A there too. So that's moving along.
So you had fairly good turnout then?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always looking for hundreds of people.
Oh, yeah.
Just don't, yeah, but I mean, throughout the day, we probably had about 40, ish,
All right, yeah.
At night, we
folks.
had maybe 6
I
or
would have
8.
been there, but.
Yeah, 6 or 8 at night for the presentation, but it was kind of interesting when we opened the open house at noon. There was like 4 or 5 people came right in. I was shocked, and then we always had like a couple people, popping in every few minutes, and then when we opened it back up, we had some, and then most of them didn't come back. One person actually came back for the presentation, but most of them came during the open house, didn't come back because they got all their information, they had their comments and so forth. We also have a survey. Encourage you all to go online. It's right on our homepage. You can click. It's on until October 14th, I think. So Friday, tomorrow.
No, tomorrow's
Saturday.
Saturday, so you still got time, if you haven't done it, go onto our website, click on the, right on the homepage, it should say parking survey, so you take the survey, so you click on it, the last count, I haven't checked I haven't heard any, about a week ago, the day of the public forum, we had about 326 responses or something like that.
So we were close, yeah.
So, right around there, so, good input from there. So that's all I have on the master plan, thank you.
Okay, field modifications?
None requested,
Bond or letter or credit reduction releases?
none requested.
We're on that, okay. Anything for the good of the order? Oh, Nancy, you have a couple things to remind us about.
So last night we had an all boards meeting, so if you couldn't attend, it was recorded, Exeter TV recorded it, and they also recorded our open house for the parking study, by the way. So I encourage everyone to at least watch that meeting, because it was really great input from Exeter TV, suggestions on what to do and not to do, and things like that. And that's recorded. Next Wednesday, October 18th at 6:30 at the library, we have a right to know training, which is really important if you can make it. Back up to last night's all board meeting, the next one has already been scheduled, and that's February 7th at 6:30 at the library, so put it in your calendars.
How long do those meetings usually last?
It was 6:30 scheduled from 6:30 to 8. We actually got done
About 7:30.
7:35.
When you should.
And the library closes at 8. So
Okay.
we do have to,
Everybody's
You
out.
have to be out.
we have to be out.
Got it.
And then the other thing I wanted to ask is if anyone's interested in going to the Dover tour, I do need to hear by tomorrow. I've had a few people respond, but I sent an email out last week, and Workforce Housing Coalition is set one up. So Nick Taylor, who is the director of that, also comes to all the Housing Advisory Committee meetings. So he's inviting us to join Workforce Housing Coalition. He just needs a head count. So, and Darren Wyndham is going to be able to come, and he has been able to reserve a Parks and Rec van. So if anybody is interested in hopping on the bus and having Darren drive you to Dover, it will be from 5 o'clock till I think 6:30.
What was the rescheduled date?
It's next Thursday, October 19th.
That's one that got rained out.
It did, yeah, it did. And the reason we made that decision was the rain the forecast had changed, the rain was going to be heavier, and they really wanted us to be able to walk around the site a little bit, and because they have conservation land as part of this project. So they kind of really we're hoping we get to see all of that, and we would have muddied up their project at that point. Now I think we're in pretty good shape, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anybody like to make, now one thing we learned about last night in terms of how we do this thing, this microphone should be about 4 to 6 inches from me. And as I speak to you, I should move my head around and look at you this way rather than doing this, so that my voice is always picked up by the microphone.
Yes, yes.
And don't rattle the papers, we know that, because there's how not to rattle the papers. She
Right.
can demonstrate that. I don't know about how
And
Pete's gonna.
sidebar conversation.
How am I going to manage this without rattling papers?
I know. So something like Pete, you should probably bring yours a little more forward because you sit away from the mic. It's hard for
It's basically eating the mic is what you're saying.
well,
Not quite.
I'm
4 to
fine.
6 inches.
But the sidebar conversations and things,
yes.
we're asked to really not do those. One is, it has been a problem in the past in the lawsuit. So it gets picked up. And if people are talking about something and it gets picked up and there's a lawsuit down the road, we have to be careful about things like that. It's also hard, it gets disruptive a little bit in it.
Yeah.
But things like that, just to keep an eye on.
The interesting thing, it's all part of the public record. You
Yeah.
would know those things.
Yeah,
So
right.
Yes, sir.
I don't believe we have that problem.
No,
But-
we don't, not for the most part, but look, we all do it. Sometimes we don't think anything of it, right? And about, being on boards during a meeting and people being on their phones. How we handle things if, like, when I'm at the select board, I will, if I'm picking up my phone, it's because I'm looking at the calendar. Right now, I have a picture of the workforce housing flyer in case anyone had questions. But, you know, when you are doing it from home, we have to ask people if they're zooming in, if there's anyone in the room with them, and if there's, you know.
The old Zoom rules. Yep.
The Zoom rules, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Good back and forth last night. I was glad.
So I did learn we'd have to have a motion to adjourn, which we usually get,
Second.
and a second, and then we have to vote. So those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 We stand adjourned. Thank you.
Tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Bi-Weekly Report with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune